Good morning, everybody, and a happy Wednesday morning to you, you guys. There's so much going on. Harry's lost more staff. They're dropping like flies, I'm telling you. We also have royal family stuff. There's just so much. Let's just get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off. The royal family paid tribute to Queen Elizabeth on Monday, which was the 3rd anniversary of her death, and they put some beautiful pictures of the monarch on the royal family's social media account with a very sweet caption. We know she died at Balmoral in Scotland. She was Britain's longest reigning monarch. We know the history. The caption read, "Remembering Queen Elizabeth II, 1926 to 2022. Not a lot of words are necessary." So the Prince and Princess of Wales decided they were going to mark the death of Queen Elizabeth by visiting the National Federation of Women's Institute in Sunningdale. Now, they visited the branch there and they met with members and people to hear about the work of, that the Women's Institute does and how it gives opportunities for women to socialize, learn new skills, and engage in community projects. And they heard from members about the importance of the late Queen's involvement in the organization. As a matter of fact, at one point, they sat down and asked people for stories, things they had heard about the Queen, things that had happened with the Queen when she was there. How fabulous is that? In other words, they didn't make themselves the center of attention. For those of you who are unaware, a little FYI, the Women's Institute, or the WI as it's commonly known, is the largest women's organization in the UK. While they were there, William spoke about Ascot and his grandmother's love of horses, saying, quote, "I think she would have loved a few more wins. She was very upset she couldn't win a few more times." And apparently he told everybody that the Queen had an iPad and she used to watch the foals being born. So wherever she was in the country, she could watch. She was very dedicated to that. I had no idea. William also said to some of the guests, and I'm quoting, "It's been 3 years since my grandmother died, and she was a big part of the WI. She used to talk about it a lot, but this is the first time I've been and experienced it, so this is a huge honor for me." The Queen was actually a member of the organization for 80 years. She joined it in 1943 at the age of 17 and later served as the president of the Sandringham from 2003 until her passing away 3 years ago. She was an active member and would regularly attend the New Year meet. Now, during this visit, I wouldn't have had the cheek to do this, but somebody actually asked William if Prince Louis is a handful. And William apparently was smiling and suppressed a laugh and said, "To be honest, he's a character, but he's a very good boy." He went on to say that Louis likes to wind up George and Charlotte. Somebody else pointed out that George appeared to be the sensible one, and William said, "Well, there is 5 years between them, and while George knows how to behave in public, behind closed doors, it's a different story." It is being reported that Catherine was a surprise addition to the schedule because apparently she wasn't going to go with William, but I think she was feeling better at the last minute, so she decided to go. Now, while they were there, they were served tea and cake. And there was one woman there who brought pictures taken in 1961 of her husband's grandfather who worked at the docks in the Second World War, meeting Queen Elizabeth and Princess Anne and a young Prince Charles at the Southampton docks. Amazing. And you know what? I love this picture. You can barely see William and Catherine because they made sure they were not the center of attention. And I love that dress she's wearing, as usual, and throughout the whole video. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what everybody's wearing. Let's move on. We had Princess Anne, who went to the Silverwood School to open its new campus that has sensory rooms, hydrotherapy, pool, and more. And they celebrated their commitment to excellence and transformative impact. Now, on the same day, because she's wearing the same outfit, she then went in her capacity as president of the UK Fashion and Textile Association. She went to visit for Moy in Marlborough. They sell fabrics and wallpaper. How wonderful. She met the mayor. All right, let's move on. Let's move on now to Secret Weapons Sophie, who went in her capacity as Colonel-in-Chief. She visited the South Alberta Lighthouse at the Jefferson Armory in Alberta. She met military personnel and their families. She was presented with the SALH Regimental Medal numbered 0010. It was designed by the Regimental Association for her outstanding efforts on behalf of the regiment, and she was gifted with a miniature of the regimental guidon, which contains all of their battle honors. And then she presented some of the people there with the King's Coronation medals. I love her, and I think she looks absolutely fabulous. When she took the pictures with the regiment, do you guys see that on the back wall? Let me zoom in for you. That is a picture of Sophie. I love it. I love that picture too. Now, the night before, Sophie attended the Vice Regal Conference reception at the Fairmont Hotel in Alberta, looking absolutely gorgeous. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what Sophie was wearing on both of these occasions. Now it's time to move on to our Harry-Meghan stuff. I mean, it's like rats from a sinking ship. Another key ally from one of his charities has left. Edward Lane Fox, Prince Harry's former private secretary for 5 years, who was involved with the Invictus Games from the start, has stepped down now as a member of the foundation's board of trustees. Now, he's the former captain of the Household Cavalry, and he left earlier this year. We're just now finding out about this. Apparently, he left back in February on the same day Patrick Nichol left. Oh my God. Now, of course, a source from Invictus says that Harry's old friends within the charity have quote unquote fallen away because they've slowly moved on as they've served their maximum term. But this latest departure comes with rumors that those involved with Harry's charity think it could be time for Harry to get the boot, saying, and I'm quoting, "It seems it's hard to convince people that you're a philanthropic force for good when there are so many unresolved issues within your own family who you have accused of being racist and uncaring. If Harry were to resign as a patron of Invictus, I'm sure there would be no trouble finding a new royal patron." I agree. Wow. All right, let's move on. Next up, it's being reported that Charles is going to fly home to London this week from his Scottish break. And that, of course, is fueling speculation that he's actually going to meet. I'm sorry, but I just don't believe it because Harry has such a packed schedule. We know when he's leaving. And I still don't believe it's going to happen. But yes, he's flying home, but I believe that was on his schedule. You know, his schedule is set months in advance. I've said it before multiple times, and I'm going to say it again. At any time, Harry could have gone under the radar without notifying the press. He could have arranged a meeting with his father and gone. But he wants it in the press. He wants people to know what's going on. Now, with Harry wanting to go back to the UK, it's being said that Meghan feels threatened because her husband could be drawn back to his family that she worked so hard to cut him off from. She doesn't want to go back to the UK. She hates the UK. And it's being said that though they would have discussed it, Harry would not go ahead without Meghan's support. I'm sorry, I do believe they would go ahead. But let me tell you, this is all over the news, so I want you guys to listen to this.
Level, it would be nice, wouldn't it, for a father who's been battling cancer to be reunited with his son, with whom he always had a very close relationship.
His son's not the problem. It's the pain in the backside. She is.
Well, she's not there.
She's always going to be there. She's always going to influence everything.
Now, there was a little bit more discussion after that, which I also thought was spot the hell on. I want you guys to listen now to this.
I'm with you on this one. People don't care anymore. Harry has burnt his bridges fully with the British public. He's leaked out through Hello magazine how excited he is to be coming back on this, what we're calling the pseudo-royal tour. He has made it known publicly that he would like to have a visit with his father, King Charles, who he last saw for that very famous 30-minute meeting. And we've seen since February last year, Harry making a series of damning and strange statements, such as questioning how long Eamon, his father, the king, has to live, the royal family are. And that trust, as far as I can see, has been irretrievably broken between them. But Harry seems to think that of his choosing, because he's now got over whatever slights or hurt he had about his family, that now it should all be everything's forgotten, everything's forgiven, and he just wants to swoop back in as though nothing has happened and bring Meghan and his children. Well, I can't see Meghan really wanting to set foot back yet. I think she knows Harry's on a failed mission. But mission he is, and he is determined to see his dad one way or another.
Now, another story I want to touch on really quickly before we get into the meat of this is the fact that Harry has been blackmailing his father with the grandchildren, but he also snubbed the Queen. Who can forget when the Queen invited them to Balmoral and Meghan said the baby was too young and then they flew off to see Elton John? These children of Harry's have been separated from their grandparents and great-grandparents on both sides of the family. Harry seems to treat the dead relatives better than the living ones. You get what I'm saying? Because when he landed back in the UK, the first thing he did was head straight to Queen Elizabeth's grave, where it was reported he left flowers and a wreath to mark the anniversary of his late grandmother. I just don't understand this. Why didn't he go to see her while she was alive? Why did he have to make a big deal out of making sure to head there straight from the airport? He made sure pictures were taken. This is a man who lost his security and then fought the government for the security, and now he's dismissive of the ruling, and he's making sure to tell everybody where he's going, what he's doing. There's a blow-by-blow of all of his movements. And while this is going on, he's telling people how dangerous it is to go to the UK, which is why he didn't bring Meghan and the kids with him on this trip, which is absolute bull. As I've told you before, this is all for PR. This is to show that he's still a prince of the realm. This is to show that he's in a good space and he can do the work, even if the crown doesn't say so. You guys get where I'm going? So Just Call Me Harry, how quickly did that disappear, arrived at the Royal Lancaster Hotel, which overlooks Hyde Park, 2 miles from Buckingham Palace, for the WellChild Awards. Man can't even open his own freaking door. And people noticed right off the bat something that he was wearing. Harry was wearing a bracelet with the phrase on it that says, quote, "Whoever saves one life saves the world," to thank him for his work with ex-servicemen. Now that's a statement piece because, of course, Invictus is wanting him, or people want him to step down from Invictus. I wish I was able to play the actual audio of the tape when Harry got out of his car. There was no yells, no claps, no, "Hey, Harry," nothing. Utter silence. There were a few flashes of bulbs from some reporters that were out there, but there were no crowds to greet him, nobody. He was waving at the reporters. Just as an FYI, Harry has been the patron here for 17 years. This is one of the patronages that he was allowed to keep after he stepped down as a working royal. I myself would not give this charity a dime, not because they're not a great charity, but because I wouldn't give my money to a charity that keeps a drug-using, self-proclaimed drug user as their patron. Like, are you kidding? So anyway, he went in and he spoke with each of the family members and each of the children individually. Now, in the meantime, Harry started doing things like a fake balloon sword fight. The idea behind this is to show he's the old Harry, the fun Harry, the cheeky Harry that everybody loved. But the problem is Harry won't confront the damage that he and his wife have caused to the monarchy. And so his attempts at reviving the quote-unquote fun Harry character look ham-fisted. He wants a reconciliation with King Charles, but on his terms. And it's very clear that the word sorry doesn't exist in his vocabulary. And quite frankly, even if he were to say, "I'm sorry," it's too late, because they're saying the magic is gone, because now we know what lies underneath. Harry is so frantic to regain his status in Britain because the California dream is fast fading. He's lost his source of income. He's been poisonously denouncing his family, but he's lost his status. And even worse, Meghan has now struck out on her own because she's not going to be sullied anymore as his wife. So he wants to come back, but he's burned his bridges. He needs to show some contrition before anybody in the family will even consider trusting him again. Cameron Walker was there. Listen to what he had to say.
But this is the start of quite an exciting week for Prince Harry, because it's almost like getting back to what he would have done as a working member of the royal family, lots of charity work, etc., rather than writing memoirs, going on Netflix, talking about how, you know, as he would put it, how difficult it was being a working member of the royal family. So there is a noticeable shift. It's really tricky, Martin, and to be honest, whenever we cover Prince Harry on our channel, our viewers get in touch and our listeners get in touch and say, why are you talking about Prince Harry? There is still quite a resentment, I think, amongst the British public towards Prince Harry. You look at the opinion polls and he is third least popular member of the royal family.
I'm sure he is the least popular. He offended a lot of people by claiming that the loss of his case was a, quote, establishment stitch-up, and publicly questioned how long his father had yet to live. So while Harry is running around doing this fake royal tour, the palace has nothing to say, not a peep. I think that's a very, very smart move on their part. And you guys know what I want. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel. There's some great recipes on there, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a physical address, as well as my Amazon wish list. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.